I genuinely like my neighbors. I hang out with them on a lot of different fronts, coach baseball with them, hang out on Friday nights with them, go to games with them, go to neighborhood parties with them. But here's the thing, most of the time at those events or venues, talking about God doesn't really come up, you know? It's not really like you're sitting in the baseball field coaching, talking about what God's up to. So in other words, you got to find a way to get them involved in that conversation. So me and a couple other guys decided that we would invite some neighbors to just have a discussion about God. Some of the guys we gotten to know over the last few years. And so we did. Called them over to this guy's house, and we didn't bait and switch him. We told him what was up. We said, look, we're inviting you to come have a conversation about God. We're going to ask you a question about God, and we're going to see if there's any answers. So what we did is we had them come over to our house. We served some refreshments. We got in a circle, and we just asked this question. If you could ask God any question in the world, and you knew he would answer, what would you ask him? And it was an amazing conversation that went on. I mean, a conversation I never would have had I not been intentional about inviting these guys into this conversation. They asked questions like, how do I know if God is sending me a sign? Or what's the end game all about? What's life all about? What's the purpose that God's up to? Or why do bad things really happen in the world? And how do we sort through those? And how do we love God in the midst of those things? I mean, it was a great conversation. But I realized that without intentionality, without really intending to invite them to this thing, it never would happen. Do you know your neighbors? Do you know them well enough to be intentional about inviting them into a conversation about God? Walking the way of Jesus would actually preclude that we do. Not make excuses, but that at some point our relationships lead us to love them enough to tell them the truth about the God that we know and that we love. Or certainly at least invite them to a conversation about it. So what's it going to take for you? Maybe it's time for you to get up the guts to hold a little gathering from some of the people you know and say, hey, let's talk about God. Let's see what you know, what you believe about God. Love them in that way.